This week I learned no matter how much you're enjoying it, you really can't speed through a Robin Hobb novel. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update, guys. It is the weekend before Halloween, so things are feeling a little spooky around the house, but I am here for it. So, guys, an incredible week that I want to talk about because so much is happening that I don't have enough time to do, really. But I want to kind of tell you guys about what's going on here at my humble abode. Let's begin, like usual, guys, with what am I reading? I hate when I get to do a weekly update and I have to tell you the exact same things I told you last week. No, I am not done with Ship of Magic yet. I'm close. I'll finish it today or tomorrow. It's really good, guys. I don't know really what to say that I didn't already tell you guys last week. But I love the way that she is creating these characters. She's making them multi-layered. There's some mysteries that I've already figured out. And it's kind of surprising to me because I'm usually Mr., hey, I'm just along for the ride. And all those people are like, you didn't see that coming? I'm like, no, I didn't. I actually figured out kind of a big one a little early. And it was kind of just like by accident. It was actually because of something I know about Brandon Sanderson. That's the reason that I figured something out here. And I'm glad I bring that up because I am seeing some, kind of like when I read Assassin's Apprentice. And then when I started reading The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams, I said, I see a lot of Assassin's Apprentice in this. But I mean, Dragonbone Chair come first. But you know what I mean. I'm seeing similarities between the two. With this one, I'm finding a lot of similarities with Stormlight Archive, which I think is a rather good thing. Now, I know Brandon Sanderson is a fan, so it's not hard to believe that he took some influence from that. But I am enjoying my time aboard that ship, and I'm very anxious to see how she wraps up this first book. I know that these stories aren't exactly self-contained. It is very much one long story divided into 3 volumes. So I'm not expecting any real resolutions here in the last, 100 pages. But, something's going to happen, I think. And I'm excited to see how it goes. So I really can't say too much about it, guys, except that it's a very much a character-centric book. I think there has been maybe 2 action scenes the entire book so far, and it's a big one. But they're satisfying when they come, but that's not why I'm reading this. I'm not reading this for the action. I mean, I've got plenty of books I can read if I just want action. This is very much a character study on all these characters, and it's amazing that I either love or I love to hate all these characters. So, yes, the people that have propped up her character work, she is meeting those expectations because she's very, very good. The hype is real in that regard, and I am enjoying my time upon that vessel. But guys, like I said, I haven't gotten to anything else because I've been working on that all week. I think that her books are very good. I just don't think they're highly bingeable. I look at them kind of like I do Christopher Rocchio books in that I enjoy them, but I take my time with them because I like to chew my food with stories like that. I don't think it's anything that you can binge. I don't audio, so I really can't, just kind of plow through it like some people do. I like to really take my time with books like these. And I don't regret it at all. So it might take me a little longer, but I am enjoying that trip, like I said. So what am I going to read, guys? Like I said, I'll finish that this weekend or next. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Am I going to go back to some of my horror reads because we are near the end of October here and I haven't read any of them? Or am I going to move right on to Mad Ship? I haven't decided yet because it's either going to be Mad Ship or it's going to be Let the Right One In by John Lindquist. That's one for spooky season that I still want to get in. I know I haven't finished Summer of Night. Just decided I'm going to go ahead and move Fireman to my standalones for 2023 by Joe Hill. Just victim of the numbers, and then me just, I had my fantasy burnout, and then I started missing fantasy again. So it's amazing how that works, right? So I'm not sure. I haven't decided because I don't want to burn myself out, with these really, really epic long fantasy books because I can do that if you try to just continue to stay in one world for that long. But I'm enjoying enough about this world that I want to kind of know the answers. And that's why I think breaking those trilogies up, one at a time, instead of just going through Realm of the Eldlings all through one shot, I think it's a good idea because it will help you avoid the burnout of staying in one world for too long. So I don't know. I'll make that decision sometime this week, maybe this weekend. I do have an event I'm going to talk about here in a minute where I might find myself with some extra reading time. It's just going to kind of depend on what mood I'm in while I am there. But guys, that really is all I got to talk about for what am I going to read, because like I said, these are long books. I don't imagine I'm going to be really just flying through them and being able to tell you about the next 2 or 3 things I'm reading, because I'm still going to be reading them probably at this time next week, especially with it being a holiday weekend and me having lots of responsibilities elsewhere. But let's go ahead and talk about this week on the channel, you guys. Did have a comment recently, I think when I put up that Cosmere video, that someone said, wow, you're not doing very much spooky season content this year. And that was right. And I said, I do need to get some of those up. So I decided to do a review of The Troop by Nick Cutter. I thought this was a fantastic book, very much what I've been missing in modern horror. I haven't seen anything. They think that like just gore is what makes something scary. And I don't think that's what does it for me. For me, it's about tension, it's about suspense, it's about build-up, and that book does all those things really great. Sure, it has the disgusting body horror stuff, and it's really good. It's really, really good. But yeah, it has a lot of other things that I really appreciate. Definitely feels like Stephen King light, in that I think that his character work ain't as good. Obviously, his dialogue isn't as good for the preteen kids and things like that Stephen King can do. But again, if you're getting a mention that, you know, Stephen King light, I think it's quite a compliment. I'm sure that Nick Cutter would actually take that, being a Stephen King fan. So again, that's a very high measuring stick. But what I mean by that is I think that if you are a Stephen King fan, I mean like his early stuff, we're talking like Carrie, we're talking about like Richard Bachman era Stephen King, I think you'll find a lot to like in the book. Very much feels like Lord of the Flies meets The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. That's kind of what it feels like to me. And yeah, it's really, really... It's a disturbing book. I said in that video, I think I used the word squeamish like about 1,200 times, or squirm, because I definitely think that's the 2 words I would. That book is going to make you squeamish. It's going to make you squirm. But I think that's when you know that horror is doing something right. The fact that I finished it a month ago and it's still in my head, that means that, yeah, it's a story that was really written well. And I think you should check it out. Non-spoiler review, guys. I would love if you guys watch reviews more, because I'd love to get back to doing a lot of reviews. Throne Zone finale. This was for the Black Queen. Madison and Scott joined me for the 10th and final episode. Now, we're going to be doing a wrap-up show eventually. We just haven't really nailed that down yet. But as far as the show recap and discussion and spoiler talk and all that stuff, we're done for that for this first season. So it's sad that it feels like we were waiting for this forever. And now it's already come and gone and it's over. But, you know, we enjoyed talking about it. That episode was a little longer because we kind of started talking about the season as a whole and kind of some other things. Took a lot of questions from the live audience and even took some non-House of Dragon questions on there, which led to some people in the comments getting really upset about what we said about Witcher. We brought up a comment about why House of Dragon has worked so well. And we brought up this article that came out recently about a previous showrunner saying that when they were writing The Witcher, it was tough for them because they actively disliked the books and the video games. And we always said, it was like, now look at Ryan Condal and Miguel Sapochnik. They love that source material, and look how huge that show was. So basically what we said was like, hire people who are fans, people who are competent, definitely at their job, but they like the source material. It's not really a hard thing to do. And some people took that as us saying that like the people still running The Witcher hate this. That's not what we were saying at all. But I mean, look, personally, I like The Witcher show, guys, but I'm not married to the books, you know. So again, I know Witcher fans are very overprotective, and I have things like that I am with as well. I get that, but again, no disrespect, obviously, was meant to The Witcher. 15 worst books I've read since I started this channel. This was kind of a out of nowhere video. Light bulb went off when I was at work that day. Didn't have a content idea for the video I wanted to do that night. I thought about putting up a new Q&A, and I was like, I haven't compiled all those questions yet. I was like, what are some books that I wouldn't say necessarily are bad, just some books maybe I had a bad time with, and that's how I came up with that idea. Now, it was important for me in that video to describe what I meant by the word worst. And what I said was like, it doesn't necessarily mean like these books are the worst. It doesn't mean these writers are the worst. It doesn't mean that they're bad. It doesn't mean I never would ever take away from an author saying that they couldn't write or something, because who am I? I'm just a guy with Wi-Fi. Who am I to tell a writer that they can't write? Never what I was saying. I was saying I wanted to make sure that they understood that I had the worst time while reading the books. And I know a video like that's going to be subjective. I mean, you're already, you know, walking that fine line of nuclear hot take, right? So it was important for me to get that across, and I think it did come across. I haven't had very many people upset with some picks. I mean, there's some people who didn't like seeing, you know, Robin Hobb or Malazan book on there, you know, but I think you've learned by now, if you follow the channel, that I'm always going to be honest with you guys. And those were some books, and I explained why they didn't really work for me. So I feel like, I know people love negative rant videos on the tube. That's never going to be me. I'm always going to talk about what didn't work for me. My criticism is always going to be constructive. And I think it's always going to be fair. But again, you might feel like I was completely unfair. But again, that's just as a content creator, that's just that fine line that you straddle, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So I got good feedback on it, and people did seem to enjoy the video. And even if they disagreed, they said they thought that I was polite about it, and that's all I can ask for, really. So again, I think it's okay to disagree on these things, like I said, and go get a coffee or a beer or something afterwards. That's the whole point of this channel, guys. Discussion. It's okay to disagree sometimes. Did a couple of videos over on Mike's Media Reviews, my secondary channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would appreciate if you did. If you're into things outside of books, that is where I'm going to talk about movies, music, video games, TV, anything like that I'm going to talk about there. I might even do some vacation vlog stuff on there eventually. I don't know. It's basically anything that's not book related I'm going to do over there, and I am pushing out a couple of videos a week over there. So I appreciate if you guys check it out. I did my debut of the segment known as Decades, and I talked about the best rock albums from the 1990s. Now, if you missed it, what Decades is I pick a topic. It can be games, movies, music, video games, whatever, and I talk about the best one from each year. So for this, 1990, 1981, 1992, et cetera, and I went through and I talked about some of my favorite albums from each year and then picked my favorite for the year and then my overall album of the decade. Now, it was almost an hour long, and that is going to be the difference. That's the difference between this channel and Mike's Media Reviews is I have no format over there. It is all going to be, some videos will be 3 minutes, some videos will be 2 hours. I'm not a slave to the algorithm on that channel. I'm just going to do whatever I want, whenever I want, talk about what I want to talk about. And I do that for the most part here. But, here, I try to structure my videos the same way. I try to get them, 20 minutes exactly. Over there, there are no rules. It's just going to be like, you know what? Hey, if this is 3 minutes long and it gets lost in the algorithm, so be it. It's just fun outlet for me to talk about those things too. So I don't alienate you book readers. But I had a great time with that video. Lots of good discussion. If you are looking for some 90s nostalgia and you are above that age, I think that you will find plenty to discuss with me in the comments over there. And then I did a new 5-minute movie review for Barbarian, the new horror flick, which just dropped on HBO Max. Actually, it's pretty new. I think it just came out 6 weeks ago in theaters, so I was rather surprised to see it already. But I'll talk about that a little bit more in TV and movie talk. But I appreciate if you guys will hop over and check those things out while I try to grow that secondary channel. Because when you start a secondary channel, guys, you start from scratch. There is no cheat code. You don't be like, oh, well, you've already got a successful channel here. Well, let's go ahead and get... No, you have to start back from the beginning. I even had to do 2-step verification to prove it was me, So I'm glad they're being safe, but it is actually quite frustrating to go back to 0. But you know what? It's nice that YouTube Studio doesn't tell me that every video I put out is underperforming like it does with this channel. But, the good and the bad comes with running a secondary channel. How about some next week plans, you guys? Now, I am going to be gone this weekend. I am going to be camping with my 10-year-old. He is actually making the transition from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, and this is that event. So just he and I are going up to Sealy, Texas for the weekend. I'm going to be camping tonight or actually Friday and Saturday night out there, and really it's one of those things where I'm not really doing much. I'm just there. He's going to be doing all the things. I'm just going to kind of be in the background. So that provides me with plenty of time, guys, to read. So that's really what I plan to do, sit in my nice lawn chair there and read while he does all of his now Boy Scouts thing. So I'm really excited for him to do that and for he and I to have, just a dad and son kind of thing. Just him and I. I think that'll be really, really fun. But I am still going to be doing my talk about nothing this week with Rachel. We had to delay that a little bit from the Shades of Orange. We had to delay that a little bit. She got sick, and I think it's just going around right now, like I said, guys. And much like at my house, her family is just kind of passing it around right now. But she's saying she does feel good enough that we are planning to do that Wednesday night, and that will be, as always, guys, we'll be live on the channel if you want to drop in and ask us some questions and things. We would appreciate if you do that. I'm very excited to talk some horror with her. I'm going to be doing a new review on Halloween Day. And what this is, guys, I won't say it was really a review as much as it is almost like a retro throwback. I really love this book, and I'm just going to tell you why I love it. I'm talking about Alvin Schwartz's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. This book was just absolutely pivotal and shaping my love for horror, made me discover so many things. It actually is one of the things that led me to Bram Stoker's Dracula, led me to Stephen King, led me to the Brothers Grimm, things like that. And I'm always going to be thankful for it. That book left a huge impression on me, and it was just a huge cultural phenomenon in the 1980s. The fact that, as elementary students, we could go to our book fair and buy that book. And it's like, how? How did they let us get away with that? So it really was the Wild West back then. But I'm excited to talk about that. I thought that would be a fun way to kind of close off spooky season and wish everyone a happy Halloween as well. And then I'll be doing my monthly wrap-up, guys, for the month of October, picking my book of the month. I've already made up my mind what the book of the month is going to be. I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anyone, really, that has watched this channel constantly, but I'm excited, as always, to talk about things that have happened on the channel this month. Wrap-ups are always a lot of fun for me. As for Mike's Media Reviews, I think I might be debuting my other new segment over there, which is the best blank ever. Now, I say blank ever because this can be the best game ever, this can be the best movie ever, the best TV show, and it doesn't mean what I think is the best ever. It's just kind of like a reference where it could be in the discussion for the best whatever, of all time. So I'm thinking the debut episode of that, I want to do more video game stuff over there. So I'm thinking for the debut of Best Game Ever, talking about Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I know some of you might be like, that's over my head, I don't know what that is. Others of you, if you're close to my age or part of Gen X or just after, you can be like, oh, hell yes, I love that game. So I'll, again, anytime I get a chance to talk about some games that were just, very important to me growing up, I'd love to do that, and I can't wait to talk about that game because I think it's one that really was one of those things where when it came out, some of the reviews were saying like, oh, it's even better than Final Fantasy 3 or 6, whatever part of the world you lived in. Final Fantasy 3 in the States on the Super Nintendo, and I was like, no way, there's no way. And then it came out and it did, and it was amazing how they did that. And I'm going to talk about why, because I think it'll be a lot of fun to discuss a game that meant the world to me. So hopefully you guys will tune in over there. So before I go, guys, how about a little TV and movie talk? I touched briefly on Barbarian here. Like I said, I did do a 5-minute movie review, so if you want to check that out, you can. With this movie, I think the best thing for you guys is to go in it knowing just about nothing. Now, I'm very careful to spoil absolutely nothing in there, but it's one of those movies that you have no clue where it's going to go. And it's not in an M. Night Shyamalan twisty kind of way. It's just like, wow, that's not what I got from the trailer at all. But for once, it's a good thing. Usually the trailer, you think you're getting something, you go to the theater and you get something else and you're disappointed. I don't think so this time. Really, really good. Bill Skarsgård, Georgina Campbell, Justin Long are all just brilliant in it. And I don't know the actor's name, but there's another character in that movie that is absolutely terrifying. So I'll put it that way. This is the first horror movie in a long time, guys. It kind of had me like, putting my hand up to kind of cover the screen because it got me a little freaked out. And I think that's probably the first movie since The Ring, like 20 years ago, to actually, give me the heebie-jeebies a little bit while watching. So it's on HBO Max now. I hope you guys will check it out if you get the opportunity to. Please don't get spoiled because I think it would absolutely crush the effectiveness of that movie if you knew anything about it going into it. Kind of want to touch briefly on this 1899 on Netflix, this trailer. Now, this is by the showrunners who did Dark. And I think Dark is one of the best science fiction shows of all time. I thought Dark was absolutely perfect. It was so tightly written. That story was just amazing beginning to end. And I think them knowing where they were going from the very beginning of it helped them do that. It gave me all the resolutions that I hoped Lost would give me. It actually did it, though, and following like 3 different timelines. But as for 1899, I watched a trailer, no idea what's going on. And you know what? That's great, because I trust this writing team. They know what they're doing, and I am here for it. I know there's like trailer breakdowns, but I don't think anybody has any idea what this is about, but it looks just as freaky and in the same vein as Dark. So I will be giving that a shot for sure. Now I've been bombarded, guys, with... Remember that weekly update when you said if Doctor Who ever degenerated back into David Tennant or Matt Smith that you'd be back on board? Well, guys, you called my bluff. Yes, I did see that Jodie Whittaker did regenerate, and instead of it being the new actor whose name I can never remember how to pronounce, so I'm not even going to try, as expected, it actually degenerated back into David Tennant. Now, here's the thing with that is... Sure, I'm going to check that out because, I love David Tennant. If it's David Tennant or Matt Smith, I will check that out. I know it's just going to be a few episodes before they do officially go to the new Doctor. And they knew they needed to do something because their ratings were on life support. And they need to try to make a gesture to the fans that they've lost along the way. And I've talked at length about why I left Doctor Who. I don't want to get back into it now because it's always misconstrued and I get a bunch of accusations thrown at me. And again, like I said, Jodie Whittaker wasn't the problem, guys. Chibnall was the problem. So I think Chibnall leaving is addition by subtraction. Obviously, Russell T Davies made some of my favorite Doctor Who episodes ever. So I would like to give it a chance. But guys, they have to win me back. And they have to win me back not with cheap nostalgia. That's the Disney Star Wars method. Oh, this is really flailing. Let's bring in Cad Bane or let's bring back a de-aged Luke Skywalker or something to get people interested again. I feel like that's all this is. Too little, too late with me with Doctor Who. Look, the last writing team just completely obliterated the lore. They just assassinated what the show was about. It wasn't fun to watch anymore. And I just don't believe it can change overnight like that just by bringing back David Tennant. It'll be huge. The ratings will be huge for it. And people will be like, Doctor Who is back. Let's see how it retains after David Tennant leaves again. Which, I won't lie, I feel like it kind of cheapens it. Like, imagine, let me put it in terms that some people can understand here. Imagine if the MCU brought back Robert Downey Jr. just for him to leave again a movie later. You're going to feel like that ending that he had in Endgame was robbed from you, right? It was taken away. It's going to take that moment away. So I feel like the very famous I don't want to go David Tennant scene's kind of been robbed now. It doesn't have the same weight anymore. And that's a bad thing, in my opinion. So, look, I'm for nostalgia as much as anybody else. Gen X, we love nostalgia. We're all about it. But it has to have meaning, and it has to not take away from other things. So, again, I'm not saying I will never be back on board the TARDIS ever again. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you're going to have to do something to get me to keep watching after Tennant leaves again. So, of course, I'll check this out. I mean, my 10-year-old saw it, and he was, like, absolutely blown away, and he can't wait now. I mean, he loved David Tennant. So, sure, we'll check that out. But as far as me being back permanently, I doubt it. But we'll see. I never say never, you guys. And before I go, James Gunn. You guys know I'm a fan. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I've been following James Gunn's career since Slither, way back. I don't even remember how long ago that was. But I think that James Gunn is an incredible filmmaker. His humor doesn't land with everybody, but it does land with me. I think he's really, really awesome. And so this news that he is going to be taking over, it's just called the DCU now, guys. They've already eliminated the extended, expanded part. I don't even know if it was extended or expanded. I always get this and the Star Wars EU like mixed up with that. So he's taking over DC Studios at Warner Brothers. Now, on paper, this sounds like a dream come true. This sounds amazing. They've always needed a true architect, someone who understands comics, which he does, and someone that they're going to listen to. That's always the thing with me with Warner Brothers, is they will hire the right people sometimes. Like, they even had Jeff Johns in house one time. And it's just like they don't listen to them. Always like they'll get down to crunch time and they'll be like, oh, well, we don't know how we feel about this. We're getting nervous, so we're going to just make a executive decision and completely crap all over. I mean, look what happened with Suicide Squad. All the screenings of that, everybody said David Ayer had just made an amazing movie. And then they recut it by the people who made the trailer. And the movie was a disaster after that. So, I mean, it's just one of those things where I want to believe. I do, because I would love to see the vision that James Gunn has for DC films. I don't even know what to call it anymore. I'm a big DC Comics fan. I would love to see the characters I love get the respect and care that they deserve. But I do think it's amazing that in a span of 24 to 48 hours, we got the news that Henry Cavill was back as Superman. Happily. He made a video on Twitter and Instagram happily about how he's very excited to talk about what's coming. So we're finally going to get a Man of Steel 2. And, of course, now the James Gunn news. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. But, it's cautious optimism because I've never trusted Warner Brothers. I haven't. I hope at this point they say, what have we got to lose? Let's just let him try to do it his own way. My opinion, still the only way to do this is Flashpoint. Reset everything. That way you can keep the actors in roles that you want to keep. Like if they want to keep Gal Gadot, they can do that. They can do that with a reboot of the universe, and it doesn't make a difference. Because, guys, I would love to see this just started from scratch and re-implement everything in a build-up to Sinestro Corps War and Blackest Night Green Lantern. That's my pipe dream, is that they finally give my boy Hal Jordan some respect. I would love to see it made. So, James Gunn, look, I mean, I won't lie, the sun is shining a little brighter in regard to how I feel about DC on film right now. But I'm just still so worried they're not. He's going to start to put in his methodology and they're going to get spooked right before release, and they're going to do what they always do, and they're just going to step all over it and just take a big crap on it. So it's one of those things where I trust James Gunn. I do not trust Warner Brothers Studios. So prove me wrong, guys. Please, I would love to prove wrong on this. But guys, that was my week. How did your week go? Why don't you drop in the comments and let me know, and have yourselves a safe and very happy Halloween.